Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Happy 2022. Let me be the last to say that. Given that we took a little hiatus here to start off the new year, as you can tell, we're once again kind of in some transitional situation here as we are now moving into a slightly larger space. We're going to have better equipment, more room to work with. So definitely excited about what the new year has to bring, especially for the yard sign. We appreciate you for watching the most important relevant podcast in politics. Your host is always Jonny Torres. Thank you so much for watching. As always, don't forget, if you can't watch tonight's show live on any of our social media platforms, you can also do so by subscribing to the audio version of our show, which is available on all the tech overlords at Google, Apple, Spotify, Audible, Amazon, Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and of course Samsung podcast platforms now as well. So, and I probably missed one or two in there somewhere. But we certainly appreciate. Our numbers are amazing. I almost don't want to jinx it, but I think next week I might actually bring in some of our podcast numbers because we haven't really since the inception of the show, we haven't really been tracking what the show has really been doing, and man, I was blown away by how well our show is actually ranked nationally and globally against other podcasts. So we'll talk a little bit about that next week. This week, we have a special guest joining us and a familiar face as well. But first, let's start off with the week from hell as we start off 2022 as dismal as ever. I mean, the midterms cannot come soon enough, and we're going to be trying to tackle as much as possible in today's show, given that, again, we've been gone for about 3-4 weeks. The Biden administration turns 1 year old, and it's acting like it. Also, Biden's COVID website going about as well as the Obamacare website. I don't know if you guys remember that fiasco. We'll pick that apart. One team, two new stadiums, bringing it here to the hometown as the Tampa Bay Rays continue to try to make the case for a two-city team, and that obnoxious idea. And liberal district attorneys. If you haven't heard by now, George Soros made a huge effort and has been making a huge effort, I'd say, over the last few election cycles in getting district attorneys elected across the country. And this is why we are seeing a lot of the problems that we are seeing in terms of law enforcement, crime enforcement, and especially right now in a down economy. And so we'll pick that apart along with our special guests for today. So let's go over to the big table. Joining me today, as always, from left to right, that is Anibal David Cabrera. And joining us in the center seat, haven't been with us for a while. And so
big table. Are they talking about me?
Oh, sorry. Hang on. There we go. My bad. Go ahead.
The big table.
The big table.
Sound check. We all right?
There we go.
We good?
I'm offended. I'm a little bit offended.
It's okay. It's okay to be offended, man.
Well, last time you were with us, we were in a much different space. It was a little rough, but it was, but
my warehouse.
That's right. Yeah. And which we were incredibly grateful for because we did, a lot of shows there, and it was too big a space, really. I mean,
it's huge. Yeah.
And then now we've got new equipment, and which we also didn't have when we were over there.
You just keep getting better. You just keep getting better.
You got to. It's a work in progress.
You keep getting better.
Well, if I had a civics teacher in middle school that always says, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards.
By the way, so if you and your listeners, your viewers could forgive me for my COVID cough. I went to New York City for New Year's Eve, so it got a little crazy.
We saw the pictures.
I kind of knew I was coming back with Omicron. I mean,
what people don't see is the plexiglass that I have here to block the two of you from me.
Yeah. I got my test on the steps of the Met right there in New York City. They had these little mobile stations all around the city. So, but we got it on the 2nd.
Yeah.
And my traveling partner, she said, let's grab a test. So I'm like, okay, let's do this. And then on, I think it was the 9th, I got an email. I said, you're positive. Wow. I pretty much contaminated that entire United Airlines flight on the way back to Tampa. I'm pretty sure.
It's good to know that you're taking ownership of
I'm not sure what flight number that was. Just disregard. I was just kidding. But it was a little hot. I turned on all those circulating air.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. You're running a fever.
Breaking the sweat.
Oh, my gosh.
It's a night sweat.
Well, Travis, thanks again for joining us, man. It's been a little while, and happy to have you back.
A lot of politics. I'm ready. It seems like for the last year or so to me that people have been ambivalent they've been a little dialed out. They're just, I mean, even
They're burned out. I think people are burned out.
The whole last election cycle, but all this, Biden for the last several weeks while you haven't been on the air has just continued to try to run this economy into the ditch, and he's doing a pretty good job steering it there. And I think people will eventually have to wake up with inflation, like you said. We're going to talk about skyrocketing. People's buying power is decreasing. It's just. We've got to get re-engaged.
Well, let's that's a great, kind of lead into our first topic, which is kind of the week from hell, because it just seems like everything's going sideways. We got Russia who's making big moves into the Ukraine.
Scary.
We have Omicron, which continued to, it's just now starting to kind of come off the other side, come down the other side of the hill. Yeah.
Like over the weekend.
But it's one of those things, honestly, more so than the Delta variant, more so than OG COVID. Man, everybody.
I love that, by the way. Hashtag OG COVID.
Did you hear that?
No. I just came up with that.
OG COVID right now.
Writing that down right now.
Hashtag OG.
I said that first.
Hashtag OG.
That was a Jonny Torres original.
Yes. Once you see it go viral,
OG.
That's right. But so many people have gotten sick. To varying degrees.
When I said I was going to New York, kind of with the expectation, I told you before. I think on one of the last podcasts I was on. Yeah, I got the Pfizer vaccine. I got the 2 vaccine, and I, because I've had some issues, lungs and things like that. So I was trying to prepare for it, but you can't. I wasn't going to live my life where we don't travel. I love traveling.
The irony is that you caught it in New York.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I might have even gone to New York with it. I don't know. I wasn't feeling so super.
We're gonna keep the story that you got it in New York City.
I figured if I drink enough martinis and
AOC caught it on South Beach and you caught it in New York City.
That's right. Did she? She caught it on South Beach?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. She was drinking it up with her ginger boyfriend.
Well, I was too busy partying in New York City when she was down here.
I thought she didn't like white people, but she's dating a white person?
Yeah, with terrible sandals, apparently.
Oh, horrible. They need a pedicure.
A white guy in sandals.
White guy, the worst kind. The worst
Jesus
kind.
sandals?
I don't know if they were Jesus sandals.
I don't think they were Jesus sandals.
Those are the good sandals.
But we continue to see the CDC continues to contradict themselves, and basically, again, I love this running list that we have of all the conspiracy theories that those of us on the right have had, and how many of them have now been validated along the way, in terms of where where the virus started, how you can catch it, how you can't catch it, and all this sort of thing. And it's just like check, and the CDC continues to walk back, and to the point now where they're looking absolutely ridiculous, because you have in these blue states where they just fired hundreds of thousands of healthcare workers, and so they can't walk that back. Right?
By the way,
you already fired these people.
I talked to a lot of people when I was traveling and when I was up there.
Yeah,
and when they hear you're from Florida, they're like, hey, things are going great down there. You guys are having a great time. You had to carry I had my passport holder,
right,
and I stuck my vaccine card in it because virtually, any restaurant you go in, any bar,
right,
you had to have a mask on when you went in until you sit down and started eating or drinking.
And apparently Applebee's and Olive Garden are a bunch of narcs, okay? Because I don't know if you saw, there was this black guy who got arrested at an Olive Garden for not having his vaccine card.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, and then early on,
they're pretty strict about it.
Well, early on when New York came out with their new rules, like 4 people got arrested at an Applebee's, which they should be arrested for eating at an Applebee's anyway.
Right,
so.
Whoa. I'm getting a little sick to my stomach just hearing it. Just when you say the word, it kind of.
I don't. Well, anyways,
you don't hate Applebee's?
I'm not going to say that either.
Okay.
I will say that I feel bad for the restaurants because they're the ones that get fined if they're not holding up to the standards that New York City is requiring them to. Right. So it's like a catch-22. But yeah, the point that you were going to make, Jonathan, is that in New York, like only 30% or 40% of African Americans are vaccinated, and they're not going to get vaccinated any higher. So this new rule is very much like anti-black, anti-brown.
It's very racist. It's quite almost literally a Jim Crow law like level of racist.
What? So we had to show the vaccine card.
Jim Crow Joe Biden.
Oh Jesus! Wow.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, we had to show the card, and it's funny because the lesser sort of lower end place you were in, they were the more militant about it.
Oh, okay.
I know what the higher end, they're
because they have the most to lose, right?
I guess so.
Your mom and pop shops can't afford those fines.
For the big party, New Year's Eve, overlooking Times Square, they were like, Oh, you paid? You paid that much? Okay, come on, yeah. Okay, you got a vaccine card. Yeah, here's your wristband.
Yeah,
head to the party.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you're not turning away somebody who dropped, some Benjis on a New Year's Eve party.
Some Benjis.
Yeah. Oh, it was some Benjis.
I was afraid they would, so I made sure we had our vax cards
Right.
and everything ready to go.
No, but every time you run into someone that's not from Florida and they realize that you're Floridian, they're like, "Oh my God, how is it living there?" I'm like, "Normal,
Isn't it great?"
It's absolutely
Right.
normal.
Yeah.
We've been chill since like June or July of the year of COVID.
Right. It's almost like we're now, we've kind of always jokingly kind of said this and been treated like we're a different country, but it's almost like we're a different country that like everybody
like
wants to come to.
It really does.
It's like, oh, you're from
Republic of Florida.
Yeah, it really is. It's like, oh my God, you're from there. Like, I so want to go there.
It's the capital of the rebellion, honestly. It's
Right. Oh, I love that.
Leading the rebellion. But don't worry, Empire Strikes
There's
Back.
a lot of hashtags being built in the show today.
But it's kind of like when you hear when somebody who's not from, let's say, the Southeast, and you hear them, either you say you're from Orlando or Key West or something like that, and people are like, oh my God, that sounds amazing, because they've never been there. Like, that's what people sound like when they're talking about Florida now.
It's great. I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah. We ran into friends. We ran into people that live in Michigan. They're here for vacation.
Yeah.
And they're like, their business almost went under because they could not deal with the vaccine mandates. But they're like, they live so close to the border with another state. They're like, so they're bakers, and they're like, we are doing 300 plus people weddings across the state lines, but in Illinois you still have to only have like 35 people at a wedding, which is insane. It's just the rules and requirements in Illinois and Michigan, it's so bad. You can tell the difference now, and you're going to keep on seeing it, how people keep on fleeing.
Yeah, no, I mean, because it's more than ever. I think this is going to be the incredible thing, because they're already saying that in the upcoming midterm elections, Republicans could see gains that haven't been seen in over 100 years. Okay, they're saying this is going to be that bad.
So.
This is going to be that big of a midterm election, because for once, and a lot of these guys that are moving here from California, Ben Shapiro, Joe Rogan, who moved to Texas, and a lot of the people who have made the migration will tell you that for once they've truly realized the impact that a local and state government can have on your life and your well-being. And we're looking at what's happening in California, and it's gotten so bad that it's almost like watching one of these apocalyptic films where you kind of feel like you're watching it through the news, and this country, this city and this state is just falling apart.
Well, I was a little
concerned.
concerned. I mean, honestly, when I went to New York, I was a little concerned about, how would it be? Are there roving gangs? And it wasn't
It's
too
not
bad.
Mad
But people
Max.
were
But
clearly,
that's what's happening in California.
But business was clearly depressed from it. I mean, clearly depressed. Obviously, the turnout and the numbers allowed at Times Square were dramatically,
which you could tell from even from the TV broadcast.
Yeah, but we were watching from up. I don't want to be down there, honestly. In it, anyways,
with the peons.
With the good fine people down there. But I'm not wearing a diaper or going to a porta john on New Year's Eve. So no.
Somehow I don't see you wearing a Planet Fitness hat on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I saw some people like Dr. Seuss style hats. Not my thing, man. I had a nice tuxedo, a nice Italian made tuxedo on. But no, it was clearly business all around the city. You could tell was down, except for Cat's Deli, because Cat's Delicatessen, the line was still right.
What was the mask? What was the mask situation? You have to have it on all the time?
I mean, when you were indoors, usually like if you walked in to the your table, eventually we started to be the rebellious Floridians. I think near the end we were kind of like getting tired of it after a couple of days. We're like, if someone tells us to put it on, we'll put it on. But or screams at you, But they didn't. So
sure,
we did a little less, but. It's just definitely you could get a sense that business was down, that things weren't quite the same, except for Central Park. I mean, Tavern on the Green, it was tough getting in there and getting a seat in there. So that was, some of the things were pretty seemingly normal, but a lot around the city was, discernibly different.
But seated at a restaurant, you still no mask, or do you have to wear a mask?
No mask.
Okay.
It's not like some of these, casinos around here where you gotta put your mask up when you're not drinking or eating. Now, I had that happen to me. Someone warned me that I had to do that, and I'm like, hey, this is the last expensive drink I'll be buying here for a while.
Yeah,
until these rules are relaxed.
Well, and so you don't have to wear it. Again, these ridiculous rules. I mean, have they still pretty much commandeered the sidewalks, these restaurants and stuff? Do they still have that outdoor stuff, where they kind of took over the sidewalks?
It was a little chilly and rainy, so it wasn't, but they did have, you could see that they had some of the plastic, some of the
little
areas,
structures that they built outside. Right.
Yeah, they had some of that.
The outside,
a good deal
inside,
of that, more than before. Yeah, the inside, outside. It's like, really, I'm not sure that you were really accomplishing what you thought you were setting out to do.
The fact that it's almost like paying for Burns kind of prices.
You just want to talk about Burns
always and forever.
I love Burns
sitting. Thank you, but sitting outside in New York City, and you're already going to pay $100 a plate, no matter where you are in New York City, unless you're in one of the boroughs, and we don't do that. And so. But it's insane. I'm going to be outside at the same time. No, but to wrap up what's going on with this conversation is that this week was literally the worst week so far. I don't know what he could do worse because now he's become a lame
don't ask that question.
I know.
I never asked that question.
It's become a situation where now it's a lame duck. He lost the Build Back Better. He lost the filibuster fight. He's getting killed with inflation. They lost the Supreme Court when it came to the vaccine.
And it seems like Kamala is just helping dig the hole at this point. Like that interview she did, I don't know if it was NBC or CNN or ABC, but she just did a major interview that just could not have gone worse.
Tanked. They should lock her away. Her numbers are lower than Hillary's.
And she didn't even do like the awkward laugh thing. That's how bad it was. I mean, she was rambling on with these answers that made no sense whatsoever. It's like, it clearly she has no understanding of what's happening right now, and even remotely
sounds just like Joe Biden.
Fix it. Yeah,
rambling, doesn't know what's going on.
Right, only more cognitive, but I mean,
if there was only a communication company out there that would have media training of some kind,
right.
Hashtag
BullhornMediaTraining.com. I do own that domain. We're about to launch a new website since you mentioned it.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, and so
there's not enough media training in the world to change Kamala Harris's terrible politics.
The problem is that
evil laugh of hers.
Yeah, she thinks that she's fine. She thinks that she doesn't, and this is
apparently a certain number of base within her own party think so. Agree, but
the people that have been closest to her, the ones that have all jumped ship, have now been saying, that she's just impossible to work with. She doesn't listen to anybody except her truly inner circle. Those people obviously don't have her best interests at heart.
The worst leaders are the ones who surround themselves with men,
she doesn't.
Women.
Well, and she doesn't read policy briefs. She doesn't stay updated on what's happening. In terms of
sounds like she'll make a great Democrat nominee.
Yeah. Well, and so that's
if we get there. Oh. Let's not even get there right now.
Well, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and reset the room here. Thank you, everybody, for watching The Yard Sign, the most diverse conservative political podcast on the internet anywhere. I challenge you to prove me otherwise. Jonny Torres, your host. Thank you so much for watching. Travis Horn, Anibal, David Cabrera joining me tonight as we go into our second topic for today, which is the Biden administration turning one. And while normally that'd be kind of cute and we'd talk about kind of all the awesome things that have happened since then, it's actually been quite the contrary, as we were just alluding to. Their big Hail Mary, which again, we saw Obama try this with Obamacare, and he was able to pull it off, even though the launch, as we said, was a disaster, and we'll get more into that into the next topic. But it just seems like for someone who has spent their entire career in politics, in Congress, as a senator, you would think that he would be running a much tighter, smoother ship, much more effective ship, and we're getting the complete opposite. The guy's a complete. You would think that he's okay. Let's say, honestly, this is kind of what I would have expected from the Trump administration. Somebody that has no experience in government, no experience in politics, to come in and just screw everything up that they touch. And we're seeing kind of the alternate universe of that. Trump got a lot done for somebody who was never in politics, never in government.
And on the flip side, Biden pitched it as, I'm the old hand, I'm the old trusted hand,
and he can't get anything done.
That sounds so dirty.
The old hand.
The old trusted hand.
What is this, like a niche of a porn situation?
Ugh, gross.
Oh my God.
He's the old trusted hand. All right. Sorry, there's my COVID rearing up again.
But it just seems like, again, you would have thought, because he did. He ran on experience. He ran on somebody who's kind of been there, done that. Like he was going to bring stability to the administration, to the country.
And he's brought the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Well, look, he was experienced at being a screw up. He was always a screw up, or just somehow kind of made his way through, and that's exactly what happened in the last election. And if Trump hadn't lost the middle, and or other things happened too,
Georgia and Arizona, we've talked about this.
Those 3 cities.
Yeah.
Those 3 cities and those states hadn't
true.
have done what they did, then it would have been a different story. So nothing's changed. I mean, it's what we expected, really, I guess, right?
But I feel like it's still benefiting us more than anything else as Republicans, because now people really see how ridiculous it is with the Democrats having both chambers and having the House, and you're like, this is a nightmare.
I get what you're saying, but that's an insider baseball kind of mentality too. We get into that. We were like, oh well, we're going to win because of it. At the end of the day, we're all great Americans too, so we all want to see, we want to see the country succeed and do great things and be the leader and a beacon for freedom across the globe. But it's not under Biden. We've got North Korea now shooting off missiles again. We've got China, saber rattling as much as any has ever done.
Well, I think China.
Russia
I think China's.
To,
I think China's bought off the Bidens at this point. I mean, we know Biden's bought and paid by the Chinese. What he is.
I don't.
There's no gray area there.
I honestly believe China is trying to keep itself together.
In fact, the biggest point that somebody made, the biggest point that somebody made about how in the back pocket the Bidens are for the Chinese, what was the pulling out of Afghanistan. You had all of this, what's that element that we use, lithium, that is available in Afghanistan. Okay. We pulled out of there, and guess now who is going to go in there and take ownership of all that lithium? The Chinese.
I was going to say Russia or China.
The Chinese or Russians. Don't get me wrong. I understand the geopolitics of that area. What I'm saying is I think people are giving way too much credit when it comes to the Chinese. It's not that big of a deal when it comes to them. They are themselves trying to stop a $4.2 trillion American dollar in housing bubble. It's not $70 trillion. Their assets on properties is, I think, 3 times more of the U.S. Literally, that's what they have on the paperwork. And now everyone understands that's bullcrap. Yeah. But that's what they've done. They've allowed themselves to be imploded.
Oh, yeah. No, it's going to crash. It's going to be ugly.
And so, the crash has already occurred.
I need to sell my house before that happens.
Oh, no. We'll probably have an economic boom because commodity prices will drop.
Well, what they're trying to do now is that they're going after some of these developers in China and saying that they didn't get proper licensing, proper permitting to build some of these projects, and they're making them tear it down. You're talking mega, 30-story, towers, and they're making them tear them down because allegedly they didn't fill out the right paperwork.
There's about 400 villas outside of Shanghai that are going to have to get torn down because they have no paperwork for these. Again, that's what I'm saying. When you make comments about China and everything, I understand it.
Nothing happens there without everybody knowing.
Without some corruption of some kind.
But that's what I'm saying. The fact you're going to tell me that they were able to build a skyscraper, of hundreds of homes and nobody, looked into it. I mean, I think this is a way of they're trying to soften the blow of what is an inevitable housing crash in China.
The crash is already occurring, both onshore and offshore bonds are already starting to drop. We're seeing this now in the slow motion. It took Japan 10 years to go through their economic devaluation. At one time, the Imperial Palace of Japan was worth more than all the real estate in New York City. These are ridiculous numbers. So
we've also heard about those ghost cities.
Oh, there's plenty of them. But that's because the only place that you can invest in China as a Chinese citizen is housing. You can't do it in the stock market. You can't build your own business. Can't do anything. So you put it into real estate. And now these people that have 4 or 5. We went through this a few years ago. What happens when everyone has 4 or 5 homes?
Right. Yeah.
Eventually it's going to pop. And with them, it's going to pop and it's going to be bad. Now, when it comes to the Bidens being paid off, I think you're giving way too much credit to the Bidens, honestly. I think the ineptitude of the administration is really showing its ugly head right now.
It's a combination of both, in my opinion, but I think it's very easy for Biden to, and both Hunter and Joe, to kind of just sit there and look the other way.
No, I don't disagree.
Just look the other way. Pay attention to COVID, pay attention to maybe Russia, and kind of try to flex your muscles a little bit, like you're actually going to do something, which they won't. And meanwhile, just let China do what China's going to do. And I think that's all they would want. I think China's happy with the United States just ignoring what they're doing.
China has no ability to control the crashing economy that they have right now when they have a zero policy when it comes to the COVID situation. They've closed down half of Beijing because 3 people got COVID, allegedly. Again, we can go back and forth when it comes to China, but we're not talking about China today. We're talking about the first year.
So what else have they screwed up here on their first birthday?
On their first birthday, they've screwed. Okay, I'm super excited to talk about
the vaccine mandate.
The vaccine mandate.
Yeah.
They screwed up on the shelves being empty, and that's become a huge hashtag.
It's getting bad.
It's getting really bad. And again,
I saw some photos today on Facebook. But when you say the vaccine mandate, of course, failing, of course, being struck down in court.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
by SCOTUS, huge. Yeah. I mean, what, 7-2?
No, it was. I thought it was 6-3.
Okay,
I don't remember.
I thought it was Roberts and somebody else.
Was that still in New York when they were?
I know Roberts. Yeah.
You were in New York for a really long time. Actually,
it was a while.
Yeah, but no, it was Roberts and Sotomayor.
Go figure. Roberts. What a joke he is. I haven't liked him from. Well, pretty much the beginning.
I don't have a problem with him.
It was Roberts and Kavanaugh. Let's look it up. I
don't know where you're coming with.
You have this magical device in front of you that could possibly help in this situation.
Look,
you don't have this device.
Hey, Roberts,
I don't. My magical device is working over here.
I've always said this. Roberts had a chance to roll back big government. He could have, and they passed the buck on Obamacare. They ruled it a tax, which was total BS.
It wasn't BS.
It was total BS. That was a terrible rationale. I know some people think it was some sort of brilliant ploy, but it wasn't. You had a chance to roll back big government in a way that had never been done. We were waiting for this. Oh, we have the court. Yay! Federal Society wins. And then boom, he drops that on us. It was what a turncoat.
Yeah.
Oh, Roberts. Boo.
By the way, just a quick reminder for those of you watching, we are also streaming live on Clubhouse. So you can not only listen to us while you do other stuff on your phone by tuning in through Clubhouse, you can also be a part of the show. If you want to jump in there in the Clubhouse room, search for the yard sign or search Jonny Torres to find me there on Clubhouse. And we can actually bring you in as a kind of a caller, like a call-in show might do on the radio by joining us on Clubhouse. So keep an eye out for that.
Okay, the vote of the employer mandate case was a 6-3 with liberal justice in dissent. The vote for healthcare case was a 5-4 with Justice Roberts and Kavanaugh joining the liberals to form the majority. So for the vaccine, y'all were already throwing these good Republicans, good conservatives, under the bus because y'all didn't read the report.
They usually need to be.
Did I read it before? No. But I knew that it was like a 6-3 situation. Yeah. So yes, Kavanaugh and Roberts voted against the mandate, but they did vote for the healthcare workers having the vaccine.
Who was the third one?
This is 3 liberals, justices, and then it was Roberts and Kavanaugh.
Okay.
Gotcha. I mean, again, the healthcare workers, obviously, that makes sense.
That's especially if you're taking money from the government
that kind of makes sense. But again, now we look at, they're crying wolf over here because they're claiming that they're overrun and they're understaffed. Well, yeah, no kidding. You just fired hundreds of people. The Mayo Clinic fired 400 people.
New York, California had to bring them back. Rehired a lot of people because they were having such shortages. Who would have known?
Hey, eventually, when you fire all your nurses and doctors, you're gonna have to go somewhere else to find. They're better.
I'm telling you right now, we're getting a lot more doctors and nurses in Florida and in the South. A lot more firefighters,
just like the police. Oh my
gosh!
There better have been a little raise coming with that. I mean, if you're having to hire me back.
Hey, teachers are getting starting. I can't even say this with a straight face. Teachers in Florida are getting a pay raise, a starting base, and a pay raise at a starting rate of $50,000 a year now.
Get out!
Who would have known?
Wow! Second pay raise in 2 years.
DeSantis made sure all the first responders got bonuses.
I think
and raises.
So. I can't even. We have an audience here that is going to kill me after this. The wife isn't going to be happy either. But you don't want to find out what happened like in Chicago with the teachers unions having like all the power that they don't even show up to work.
Right.
I would love that kind of job. Well, I have that kind of job.
That's where you need a Reagan-esque type of individual, which obviously would not exist in Chicago or Illinois, and just come and fire all of them.
I don't think you're going to get that situation.
That's never going to happen.
Not in Chicago.
No,
not at all.
But that's what Reagan did back, with the air traffic controllers. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it sucked at first. You know what I mean? I know it was kind of a painful situation.
Were we alive when that happened?
You two weren't, but
barely.
Were you?
I was born in 80.
42, right?
Yeah, I was born in 80.
Okay.
Yeah,
I definitely was not alive then.
Wasn't watching ABC or anything.
I actually watched the news even when I was little. Like
wasn't watching CBS or anything.
Yeah,
probably watching Univision.
Oh yeah, so I think what will happen even further. Again, the president makes these bold commitments saying that we're gonna solve the supply chain situation. Right. We're gonna solve COVID.
Still hasn't done it.
We're gonna solve inflation. Bro, you don't even know what these things are, and you're talking about solving things that you don't know about.
You know, how you solve the supply chain situation is get out of the way, get government out of the way, and let people actually produce, let them ship, let them get things to the market.
If you get rid of the Jones Act, that one little piece of information,
well, that's never gonna happen.
They need to get rid of it.
And a little inside baseball, but that's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen. No, but you see all these,
especially your Florida delegation, Senate, and Congress will never let it happen.
I will say this: people keep on talking about how there's empty shelves at supermarkets. I haven't seen one yet. But
I've seen some in my Publix.
In Florida?
Yeah.
I mean, we've had some issues where there's a couple items you can't find. You know,
when we do online shipping,
I mean, it was noticeable.
So then we just go to a generic.
Oh my!
I haven't been able to find the original Hufflepuff.
Generic what? Cream cheese?
What was I gonna say? It was something super like.
Sorry, my Freddie Mercury over here tipped over. There we go.
Like we're really big when it comes to cereal, and like I haven't been able to find like legit like.
You having to do the off-brand?
I have. It's been very difficult.
Like the Frosted Krispies?
I don't want to get into it. It's very
it's painful.
You can't find good New York bagels.
Cinnamon bread crunch.
Oh my gosh. Oy vey. It's become difficult. You see, it's a pain. It's suffering.
All right, let's keep this train moving along. Thank you, everybody, for watching The Yard Sign. Anibal David Cabrera. Travis Horn joining me on the show today. Don't forget, you can find all of our shows on Facebook and YouTube if you missed an episode, and you can certainly subscribe to the audio version of our podcast over at the Tech Overlords at Google, Apple, Spotify, Audible, Amazon, Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and Samsung podcast platforms. And you'll be able to find all of our previous episodes on there as well. We've got a lot to talk about today, so we're going to keep this train moving as we now turn to what may be the second biggest disaster on the internet after the launching of the Obamacare website, and that would be Biden's COVID website.
So excited.
So go ahead, Anibal. Why don't you kind of break us down on what happened there?
So after weeks of people arguing with the administration, trying to get them to actually come up with a plan in regards to the current plight of testing with the Omicron and then COVID and Delta and all the other good ones, the current administration has finally agreed to come up with a plan. And that plan is testing after everyone had been talking about it. And about 10 million tests went unused and wasted in California a few weeks ago. The official website rollout is this Wednesday, and I am completely tickled that they're going to try to do this again, because we've seen this show already once where a government tries to roll out something, and you would assume like they would ask like Google or Microsoft to do the website, and they go to GoDaddy and do the website like that, thinking that's going to happen. I will predict right now, if they have not learned anything, which of course they have not, the website will fail.
Bezos and Google should pay for it.
The website will probably fail immediately when this occurs, and it's gonna be beautiful to see the reaction of when people, because again, you have probably hundreds of millions of people trying to get a test, which I understand.
Yeah.
Like, the wife and I, we've gone to like 3 testing sites in the last probably 10 days.
Should have gone to New York, Anibal. They're on every street corner.
That's fancy, man. Getting your test at the Met. That's very fancy.
It was right on the steps.
That's right up Anibal's alley.
I'm not surprised. First of all, I'm not surprised at all that you were able to get a test very easily in Manhattan. However,
they were all over the place.
But you were watching horror stories of people in Brooklyn and in the Bronx waiting 2 hours.
Hey, we were in Manhattan.
Exactly.
That's right.
Which, hey, by the way,
they weren't the only island of New York. That's all I believe.
I'm not sure. I never recommend that my clients use Hall's Mentholyptus,
During a show?
while they're on
During an
show.
interview, yeah.
Media training, definitely this is a no-go. Would never recommend this.
okay.
But hey,
We keep it casual here.
unprecedented times. You provided them. I'm going to eat one.
keep it casual
So I'll try not to, spit it out.
Are we done?
Yeah. All better
Mind
now.
you, speaking of the quality of some of these COVID testing sites, my family lives down in Ruskin. And no joke. I mean, they literally had one of these little.
Almost as bad as White Mama.
They had one of these little big lots, 10 by 10 tent with a banner hanging
Why
off
Mama's
of it
allowed to get testing?
saying,
Who's going to pick the strawberries?
well, I was going to say they probably don't because they're just afraid of ending up on some paperwork somewhere. But it was literally side of the road, 10 by 10 tent with a banner hanging off, and it said COVID testing. It's like who would walk up to a place like that and get their COVID test?
Oh, there are some places on Hillsborough that had the same thing, like Hillsborough on like 22nd or 28th. I'm like, this is sketch.
And then there was another one up on 41 that it was like a steel, one of those little steel containers.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is too, they're also saying, "Hey, give me your personal healthcare information." So
Yeah.
honestly, we filled out
Right.
the paperwork and
You
put all of
filled
our
something out?
Yeah,
Oh,
Social security number.
yeah.
Okay.
In Hillsborough County, when you go for your testing in the official locations, because there's 2 or 3 of them that the county is providing, they tell you not to put your social and not to put your healthcare information.
Yeah, no
because
kidding.
it's a free
I
test.
don't remember whether we put our social. I have to think about that. But
Let me check my credit score. and see what's been
I
open.
got a red flag. Just
Wow, I got 2 new credit cards.
That's what happens in Manhattan.
Oh my gosh.
I've got to find the result thing though. It's pretty funny. It's
But I
big
remember-
positive right along the top.
Red, bold.
Because, for those people who haven't been
Alex.
following the show or who don't know me, like I've been in marketing and advertising for nearly 20 years.
Yes, we all know.
And so when, we heard about, this is a very reminiscent of the Obamacare website, and we heard the ridiculous amount of money that they spent on this website. And having been in that space, knowing how much it costs to build these kind of websites, I mean, it just shows you how disconnected from reality Washington D.C. is in terms of what things cost and what it takes to get things done. Because I remember them spending some ridiculous amount of money. I think it was some 6-figure amount of money on this Obamacare site. And remember, it crashed.
It wasn't 6 figures.
It crashed the first day.
That was a
7-figure, right?
It was probably. It was
Like
probably 8 figures. at
Hector,
least.
how much did it cost to open?
It was a lot. Yeah, Hector, look that up, would you? How much money did we waste on that? Because it was a lot.
I think it got into 7 figures.
Probably
more
yeah.
than that.
I don't
More than
remember
that.
the exact
It
number.
can't get more than
But I was like, I was
How many commas?
and look, that somebody who was close to the administration just made a big old payday.
Bank.
Made bank. I mean, because there's no way that a website should ever cost that amount of money.
No, not at all.
Especially one that crashed immediately and then wouldn't work for weeks. And this COVID website is right up there with it.
It's going to happen. And that's the sad part, that we can all see it happening and see it coming.
Yeah.
But the fact that they can't, that they're still, again, the rise in the COVID cases is probably going to start deteriorating more and more in the next week or two. By the time you actually they're saying it could take up to 12 to 18 days to get a COVID test from this
By then
website.
it's irrelevant.
And then,
by then it's pointless.
So
that was my point.
Yeah. If you can't tell me by the end of the day whether or not I have it, or even right then and there, then what's the point? What's the point of getting tested?
I'm looking for my test results right now.
So the PR,
Make sure they're the right ones.
So the one that, again, I'll say this: Hillsborough County is doing it right, because every time we've gone to get the test, it's been a smooth situation. I don't know what facility you went to, Jonathan, but we went to
I haven't gone to any
we
facility.
went to a Hillsborough County authorized facility, and it took about 20 minutes to get through the line because it was pretty packed, and it was a driving situation.
Yeah.
You drove in. It's like a
Right.
it's like a drive-through, and we got our results within like the first 2 hours. And if you wanted like the big test that's like guarantee what you are or you're not, I think it's the rapid. I don't think it's the rapid. It's like PRT or
They're all junk.
yeah, PTR.
PCR.
PCR, and I think it's like 2 days. And again, that's a decent timeline,
Yeah.
especially to get confirmed. So I don't have an issue with any of it, honestly.
Oh, here we go. Positive. Thanks.
Big positive.
Great. We're all gonna die.
I was kind of glad to at least see. I was like, oh, okay, that
What day
explains it.
did he get positive though?
Wait, they have your gender on here? How dare they? How dare they assume your gender?
In Manhattan. That's a
Dr. Sha Zhang, man, you might as well have gone to Wuhan for that COVID test.
That too. I'm like, this guy, he
Holy
sounds like
cow.
he knows what he's talking about.
Dr. Sha Zhang.
Okay, but
That doesn't even sound legit.
What day was the test taken?
It was a Sunday. It was Sunday, January
The
2nd.
5th.
Oh, okay.
No. That's what's funny. That's wrong. We took it on the 2nd. That was a little bit of a red
That's probably when he
flag.
submitted it.
That was when we submitted it.
No,
that
that's
day.
probably, no, like
when
you
they
probably took
submitted
it. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe there might have been a lag time. I mean, if they are doing those testing sites all around New York City,
Yeah.
bringing all that together, I get that. I understand just the logistical
Nightmare.
issue of
Yeah.
of that. So I gave him a break. I was just assuming I was positive anyways.
You're also pregnant, by the way. Congratulations.
Okay, Hector found the number. It is $1.7 billion
that's not so
for the
much.
Jesus
website.
Christ. For the, wait, billion?
Billion. Federal. Okay, the federal
the
government
Obamacare
spent
website?
I told you it was a
$1.7
big
billion on the
number.
launch
I
of the
told you.
Obamacare site. Okay, now that we know
out.
it costs $1.7 billion, what do you think it's going to cost for this?
1.7 billion.
If
That's just what they
someone
charge.
gave me $1.7 billion to make them a website,
I would disappear.
It would be
Yes.
the best website ever.
yes, I would never come back to this country.
I would disappear.
I would literally just, forget it. You would never see me ever again.
I would be in like some
Where's the
Eastern
guy who made the first website?
Oh yeah, who was
Turk.
it? Who was that
That's
person?
right.
I don't know. Yeah, Hector.
I'm a little.
I would go buy an
very
island
surprised.
and
Told you.
never talk to anybody ever again.
I would not talk to any of y'all.
Actually, I wouldn't even go to a specific location. I'd just buy like some mega yacht and just go around the world the rest
You
of my
obviously
life.
don't know how expensive mega yachts are.
Look, we
I'm
all
sure
know
they're a lot less than $1.7 billion.
True, but you know how expensive
government
it is to run
is great at
a
wasting
yacht?
money.
Yeah, so what?
We've completely lost it.
Yeah,
All right.
government's great at wasting money. That's what this boils down to. I'm trying to get us back on track here.
Thank you.
Buying
Someone has to be
yachts.
the adult. It's
Yes,
like someone
buying
just
yachts.
flailing their hands in the background.
This week on Buying Yachts, thank you, everybody. I'm Jonny Torres, your host. Thank you so much for watching. Anibal David Cabrera, Travis Horn on
Does my
today's
mic still
show.
work? Okay, it does.
A lot
First
of
show back in the house on the new year.
I know. New year, new
2022.
studio. We're going to continue to dress this thing up. Don't worry. It's as always. It's always a work in progress. But that's part of what you guys love about the show. So we appreciate you.
Hopefully-
Just like
hopefully
Anibal, a
I
work in
knew-
progress.
Whoa. I knew the assignment for today. Can I get a white sock? Bam.
There we go.
Look at that.
I love it.
Gotta try to be extra
Yes.
for you guys. Just
That's
gotta
extra.
do what you gotta do.
That's extra.
Like
That's
you,
not on my media.
Like you
training
got to
either.
try.
The LED
You don't have
lights.
to try
That's
to be
not
extra.
in my media training class either. Bring
Like, you
your own
just
LED
are.
light setup. That's pretty cute though.
I can't really move my hands that much.
Oh my gosh. All right. Back on me. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the audio version of our podcast. Also, on YouTube, we need to see some more of you on YouTube. Please subscribe, like, share, comment on there. And again, you can find all of our previous episodes on there. We're going to be doing a lot of interviews, a lot of candidate interviews leading up to the midterm elections. And so we're very excited to be bringing you those in the coming weeks. And if there's a particular candidate, or if you are the candidate and you'd like to sit down with us and have a chat about your campaign, your race, what you stand for, we'd love to have you on. Just reach out to us. Again, very easy to find online. You can reach us at any of our social media platforms, and we'll set it all up. Let's move on to our next topic. One team, two new stadiums. We're getting a little hyper local here, but this is
a conversation that's been had in a lot of other cities.
but this is a microcosm to the greed of professional sports, which is a great larger conversation anyways, and I know, present company, I know you kind of have mixed feelings on this because
No, actually, you're to be surprised at my feelings on this. Let me,
because
I'll speak
you have your office in Ybor. You've been a huge proponent and advocate for Ybor. You've been chamber president. They had the Baseball Hall of Fame that just opened up.
Throws the best parties of the year.
I mean, you've
parties
you've
coming
kind
up.
of become like Mr. Ybor. I mean, really. I mean, to be fair, I'm not
a big
I'm not saying
champion
that
of the
because
area.
right, exactly. I mean, short of living there, I mean, you live, eat, and
pretty
breathe
close.
in Ybor.
A few minutes away.
Yeah. And so, there's been speculation now for some time, which I still don't think it's going to happen, about the Rays possibly getting a new stadium in Ybor City. Of course, Ken Hagan's pockets would certainly like to see that happen.
Allegedly.
And the land is there, but there's other plans already kind of in the works for some of that property. the Rays have pretty much gotten the hint that St. Petersburg really doesn't care if they stick around or not. The St. Petersburg City Council is already making plans to replace the stadium once their deal is up. And it doesn't seem like baseball, and I've been saying this, and nobody likes to hear it. St. Petersburg is no longer a baseball town. St. Petersburg is no longer a city that loves baseball. And don't get me wrong, that's not a bad thing. St. Petersburg has become beautiful. You've got amazing museums. You've got amazing nightlife.
Their strengths,
it's just a different era now. It's a different city, and baseball's not a part of that. And so I don't know that Tampa is the answer. I've seen this happen down in South Florida. We saw the Marlins move into Miami. We saw the Florida Panthers move, from downtown Miami to Sunrise, in Broward County or Fort Lauderdale for some of you. And it really doesn't, at the end of the day, really doesn't affect the day-to-day outcome of whether or not people are going to show up for these sporting events. Because if you're not, Florida is a very fickle sports state. And if you're not in the playoffs and you're not in the championships year after year, nobody's going to show up.
Not if you're a Florida Gator like me. We stick with our team, like the old song says, through thick and thin.
Seminoles and Gators
in all
are
kinds
probably
of weather, we all stick together.
Seminoles and Gators are the exception.
That's actual football. Let me give you my rundown. Florida.
Let me give you my rundown on this and on.
Hold on. Sorry, because I didn't even lay down the premise, which is that the premise is that the Rays are proposing to become a 2-city team. Never been done in sports before. They would essentially play part of the season here. They would play part of the season in Toronto. Good luck with the COVID up there, and all the restrictions that come along with that. And they still somehow think that they're going to get a new stadium in both cities. That's the most ridiculous part about all this. But go ahead.
Well, when I said, this is a conversation that could be had in a lot of cities, what I really mean by that is this is a conversation that could be had about professional sports franchises getting, free big plush stadiums that are paid for by the taxpayer. You've got the situation like, let's just use Green Bay as an example, where they have a partial sort of ownership with, the fans basically are kind of now I know that sports leagues don't want that. They want full ownership where they can deal with one owner and it's pretty cut and dry. They don't have to go for consensus. They like to ramrod things through and push them down the throat of the people who are buying the tickets, unfortunately. But backing up a little bit, I support Ken in his efforts to bring the Rays to Ybor. I was a proponent of the team coming to Ybor, and I still think it's a great place for the team to land. Now, having said that,
it'll help my land value.
Well, who funds it is a whole different conversation. And I also know the practical reality, and I've had some more centrist to liberal counterparts, friends in government who've asked to speak with me about it, who want to talk more about it and want to, maybe understand some of the pros and cons of how it's all going to wash out. And I think it's a very dicey proposition for them because when you're buying a stadium for, you remember the old Pace Picante commercial?
No.
You don't remember that? That was a little bit.
Oh, the New York City?
New York City. Lefty,
City.
get the rope. It's not a good thing to be, making picante sauce in New York City. Well, I don't think that Mr. Sternberg has done himself a lot of favors with his seemingly flippant attitude towards the people.
He's lucky. I'll say that he's lucky that the Rays have performed as well as they have.
I think that's
because that's been his only saving grace.
Conversation.
I've had some cordial conversations with him at various events when Rays 100, and I was I'm honored to have been a guest in their suites and go to the games and things like that, and to get an opportunity to support the Rays as a member of the Rays 100. As a business person who knows that, I do believe that having sports franchises in the city, whether it be an NBA franchise we don't have, or the Bucks, which are killing it. Obviously, we enjoyed a great playoff game, first one in how many years?
I know,
20 years,
30
years.
Yeah,
a long time at Ray J Stadium. Was that yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah, it was yesterday. Man, my days are running together.
Yes, it was.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Gosh,
Sunday, Monday.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's beneficial. It is a beneficial check the box item when it comes time for business development for us to, say, hey, Tampa Bay is a great place to locate. Come here. Here's why. We've got all these sports franchises where everyone But we've also got walkable cities.
Well,
like
it's
St.
no
Petersburg or
coincidence.
Arts,
I don't
things like
think that it's a coincidence that we're seeing the fastest growth that we've seen in Tampa's history at the same time as we've got a back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, and we've got the Buccaneers who just won the Super Bowl. We've got the Rowdies who again go unnoticed, but they have also been in the championship game, the past 2 seasons. It's easy to dismiss those things and say, oh, well, the average person is probably not moving here for those things. But when we're talking about corporations relocating.
Also, though, the average people, look, I'm in PR, public relations. Right. I mean, the perception is reality. And so there's this perception that Tampa is winning. We were getting all these great articles written about the real estate market or different things. But it's a lot of things happening all at once.
Yeah. It's the expansion of our airport,
sports, I agree with Travis. Sports does play an integral part.
It gives you legitimacy. It gives you legitimacy as a big city.
And allowing for a 30,000 person stadium to be built in Ybor City or somewhere around the downtown core would be phenomenal for the city and for the businesses around it and for everyone in general. The whole idea of thinking that we're going to be a 2-city, 1-team situation is ludicrous. And the fact that we've even allowed it to have a conversation is where we've lost it. Then go to Canada. Go to Canada and not be able to play at all because of the COVID situation.
With the crazy logistical aspect of that aside, because if you're a player and you've got your family, and they've got families too,
right?
They've got all the support staff, and everyone's gonna. So what are you gonna do? Have extra
2 families?
You have a full support staff up there, right? That's crazy. Jonny Torres, boo! Another winner from.
So now we're Mormons.
Hey,
no, not traditional Mormons, but Unorthodox.
Right. Got a lot of great Mormon clients and friends.
Yes.
But they don't want to live in Toronto either. And
at this time of year.
I think that's a silly idea. Honestly, I think it's a silly idea. I think a lot of people signed on to it. There are some yes folks who.
Well, to me, it's the ultimate in greed, because if he had a great stadium here that they were comfortable in and they'd be good, and to say, hey, attendance isn't great, let's try this 2-city team thing out. Even though we're perfectly happy where we're at, in terms of fine, but he's basically asking for 2 new stadiums.
Yeah, right. And look, again, I was chairman of the Chamber of Commerce in the University when this whole thing arose, and I was asked to be by Ken. I was asked to join the Raise 100 to support the effort, and I still do. Again, believe that Ybor is the right spot with the confluence of the roadways, all the interstates.
Yes. Logistically and infrastructurally, yes.
Yeah, the corporate sort of culture downtown that's kind of developing. We're right near Channelside or whatever they're calling it now, Sparkman's Wharf.
Sparkling
that
water.
area over on the water that's kind of closed off. But the authenticity that is Ybor City, there are great things happening there. I'm investing in a new business there as well.
Everybody's been kicked out.
Yeah, they weren't the other night. When I was down there, I did 2 shows and 5 clubs. It was hopping, and people want to get out. By the way, again,
it kind of saves from that standpoint. It saves a lot of money and effort, because what we're seeing, like in Washington D.C., we're seeing it in a lot of cities around the country, is that they're building these entertainment complexes around their stadiums, with restaurants and bars and all kinds of stuff, to kind of keep you around.
Which is why it makes sense. We got an Ybor. We got an authentic, historic, yet with a growth sort of economic development area.
It makes sense.
Yeah, and you walk 2 blocks and you're at your favorite bar. I mean, it's so there's a lot of pluses to it. But again, Florida is, now Hillsborough, as far as how red Hillsborough is, obviously that's very questionable, if even questionable at this point.
Well, it could become red again if Biden keeps doing what he's doing. I think hopefully.
But my point being is that I don't think there is the appetite among the taxpayers in Hillsborough County, especially given the inflation that we're going through, especially given
asking for a lot,
given how much housing prices have increased. I don't think there's going to be an appetite by taxpayers to pay for a new stadium.
Well, here's the thing, and I don't think that's just a Hillsborough County thing. I think even in the city.
And the raging thing was a raw deal, too.
Hey, even in some more of the urban areas of Tampa proper, I don't think there's a sentiment where they want to see gobs of money thrown at
Well,
a new stadium for some rich
for your
guys
long
to make
term,
a bunch of money because they're
I
going
mean,
to flip the flip the team and sell it. That's,
you and I,
what everyone thinks anyway.
you and I are fairly new. I mean, Tampa Bay residents. I've been here since '06. I think you've been here more or less around the same amount of time.
Born and raised, baby.
But my point, actually, to you, Anibal, is that for people who were born and raised here in Tampa, they saw the people of this county get screwed over by the deal for Ray J.
Yeah, but no one cares about that deal because the Bucks are about to win in the Super Bowl. So that's
they don't care right now.
No, they don't care.
Seems like a good investment right now.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If the team is winning, the Rays or the Yankees, we have a Yankee stadium.
Yeah, that's true.
When the Bucks are winning, when the Lightning are winning, no one cares. But the fact that the Rays have been having such a problem, and I really think it's because of all the stuff causing more. But
the Rays have been winning, and they still can't get people to go to the games
because I don't want to have to drive to cross a bridge to get to where I want to play baseball.
No, look, and again,
St. Pete is no longer the center of the area. It is in downtown.
Well, St. Pete's, and again, it's not a baseball town anymore.
It's not. There's too many new people have moved into the city that it doesn't allow for that kind of transparency.
Well, and when it comes to baseball, it is very much a hub for spring training. Because you got the Clearwater, you got the team in Clearwater, you got the Dunedin Blue Jays, you've got, there's a lot of amazing baseball that happened. Mm-hmm. But what that also, what the environment that also creates is that you have fewer Rays fans. Because I can be a Blue Jays fan, I can be a Yankee fan,
Phillies,
I could be a
Tigers,
right, exactly. Yeah, and so that puts the Rays in a position where it's much harder for them to hold on to a fan base because you can go to Yankee Stadium and watch these guys play for next to nothing.
It is Florida, so you're always going to have an element of people who are either new or visiting, who are, like we were at the game. We saw a lot of Phillies folks at the game yesterday.
Yeah.
Crying. A lot of people crying.
That's rough.
Did you see the pictures of the eagle, the guy that was dressed as the eagle? Did you see that?
And everybody just rubbing it in his face.
A buddy of mine was sitting right next to him.
A rough 2 quarters, by the way.
But see, that doesn't bother me because I know historically Phillies fans are some of the worst fans out there.
Except I don't for that person we saw in the sequined outfit. That was pretty cool.
At the end of the day, I think it's a budget issue. And if you're going to really think you're going to have 2 cities pay for new stadiums, you can barely get 1 city to pay for a smaller stadium.
Well, you recall the billboard. You saw the billboard from the folks north of the border. I mean, they're friendly. They're supposed to be friendly Canucks, but that was not a very nice billboard.
Not a very nice billboard.
So. All right. So, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I don't rate it as a bad idea.
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to fly. Thank you, everybody, for watching The Yard Sign, the most important and relevant podcast in politics. Jonny Torres with you. Travis Horn joining us tonight as our special guest, and Anibal, David Cabrera. We're going to wrap up tonight's show with a kind of a personal issue here, but also an issue that really.
You hear me sigh?
Again, another microcosm of what's happening here in Tampa Bay, but it reflects a larger issue that is happening nationally when we're talking about a very weak enforcement of our laws by the district attorneys that have been elected throughout the state, throughout the country, and people don't really understand why or how this happens. But it's one of those races where the average voter is not paying attention.
Unfortunately,
they go for the name that maybe sounds familiar, that maybe had the shiniest, mail-in pieces or TV commercials, and they don't truly do their homework on what these people stand for. Here locally, we have our district attorney, Andrew Warren, who, again, we've seen time and time again, especially lately when there's been a lot of unrest, when we had a lot of the BLM protests, when we have these big issues here in town, continue to drop the ball and not do the job that he's been elected to do. During the protests, he's part of the reason Ron DeSantis, instituted this protest bill.
He took a real weak approach to that, and as you mentioned, and by the way, that was I remember he did come and speak, thankfully, at a Ybor Chamber function, and I was the only person who asked him an adversarial question that was really warranted, and it was right during that time period, which was, why did you do that? Which is one thing I noticed was he's way better on the stump than he was originally when he was elected, because he gave a very political answer. He really danced around it and nuanced it. I wanted to hit him with a follow-up, but I had, my significant other there with me, and it was just one of those.
Well, you're a leader in the organization.
Yeah, I didn't want to be the fly in the punch bowl.
Right.
But I am now. And, recently, and you're going to hear more about this story, his office has allowed a child pornographer with hundreds hundreds of sickening images of child pornography has allowed them to get adjudication withheld, essentially a slap on the wrist, if you will, and served a very little time. Someone who should go up the river, and by my way of thinking, and be punished, pummeled, everything that could be done to him, throw the book at him. There's absolutely nothing worse than that. Has allowed him to get off. And so you're going to hear more about that. You're going to hear about, the ladies and gentlemen who are supporting the human trafficking efforts and who've been out there leading from the front on that for years and years, long before Andrew Warren ever came on the scene. Guy came out, and frankly, if his opponent hadn't have been more interested in fishing than doing his own job, we wouldn't have been stuck with Andrew Warren in the first place. So came out of the blue, hit Mark Ober, took him out, and that was unfortunate. Mark was a good guy and had a great staff surrounding him, a lot of great folks working for him, thankfully. But, this has gotten out of hand. I worked on a case that you guys were somewhat familiar with involving a United States Navy SEAL. Served his country for us in Afghanistan and Iraq on multiple occasions for years on end, and was shot in the head, killed by a bar owner in South Tampa, Soho backyard. And I'm still talking to folks in Tallahassee about that, about taking another look at that. The family, they did settle. There was a settlement in that case on the civil side. But Andrew Warren should have charged him. He should have charged that guy with, by my way of thinking, and anyone I talk to, give them a set of facts, they say murder, could have been conspiracy to commit murder and murder, could have been second-degree murder, could have been manslaughter. Guy should have been charged, should be in jail today. He's walking free on our streets because of what Andrew Warren didn't do. And he wants to blame it on, it's a problem with stand your ground. No. The trial judge ruled that it was not a stand your ground case, was not a stand your ground issue. And then 2 years later, she was affirmed per curiam by the second DCA out of Lakeland. So it was not. That was a smokescreen for Andrew to be able to use stand your ground as a political ploy, as just a smokescreen because he wants to hit Republicans. In fact, some Democrat, really liberal criminal defense attorney, which they're not all crazy liberals, but this guy was a little loony, and he said, "Oh, you're Republicans, thanks to your Republicans." And I'm like, no, buddy. This is not the issue.
Well, they're twisting the law.
Yeah.
They were twisting the law to favor the situation.
Anyways, point being, you're going to see a lot more in the news about Andrew Warren. Andrew Warren needs to know he's going to see a lot more about himself in the news and the failures of him and his staff, and they're going to be held to account for it, and people aren't going to forget it. And we're going to brand that effort and make sure that the people know that he's failing us.
Well, and the issue, again, being on a larger scale, for those who may not be in the Tampa Bay area, is also the simple fact that these are, and I know it sounds kooky, I know it sounds tinfoil, but these are Soros-funded district attorneys.
No, he was.
It is.
Go back and look.
It's been validated that Soros was very successful over the past few cycles in getting these district attorneys elected across the country. And that's why we're seeing, these ridiculous policies come out where now you can steal $1,000 worth of merchandise without any prosecution. You can, where now people are getting off without bail. Now people are getting off, they're finding all of these loopholes, exploiting all these loopholes to not uphold the law. And
Andrew Warren was one of the benefactors of that big fundraising effort and the push by Soros and all of his minions. And, but there's so much to all of this. The only thing that I've seen him do halfway is support Veterans Treatment Court. I know he's done some, has at least expressed support for that. He's also expressed support for trafficking court. Now, I will say he says, and he said this to some of our local legislators, well, there's only 5 people that have been charged with trafficking. Well, so there's crossover. So in trafficking, you've got aspects of mental health issues, and you've got aspects of drug court, drug issues. Obviously, substance abuse plays into trafficking, and the ladies typically that are trafficking, not always ladies, but typically, it could be children.
Ladies and children, yes.
Yeah, and so of both genders, and it's just a horrific thing that he's talked a great game about. He says, I support it. He says, I'm here for you. He looks these activists in the eye, he tells them he's there to support them, and then never does anything. So That's what we come to expect from Andrew Warren. Talk a good game, never do anything, never act on crime, and he's going to be held accountable for it. Look for a new website, domain names to be announced. I'll let you guys,
We'll make sure we'll make the announcement as soon as it's ready to go. Mm-hmm. What were you going to say, Anibal?
No, I was going to say as someone and we all live in the county, we all live in hills, in the city and everything else, knowing just the simple fact that we know that we live in a deep sea port city, we know that human trafficking is such a big issue.
Yeah.
And so it hits a lot of people in this area because they know the suffering. They donate to the shelters. They volunteer. They do the walks. They do whatever they can for that community that's being taken advantage of. And the fact that we have someone in office that's giving lip service but doing nothing for it is very upsetting.
I'm not sure how deep sea. I'm not sure about how deep our port is or whatever. I think
we're like the fourth or fifth largest in the country.
Fifth largest port. For sure, and volume, and that probably plays
into it.
We are
a deep sea port.
Well, on that note, I also want to plug someone that I know and kind of work with in a sort of way. But John Long, who's the executive director for the United States Institute Against Human Trafficking, just a shout out to those guys for the amazing work they do. They just celebrated their 5th year, and they're actually headquartered here in Tampa Bay, which again, a hot spot nationally for human trafficking. And so if you want to look more into that issue, you can look up USIAHT.org. Yes, USIAHT.org.
Just Google it. Just Google it.
Yeah. United States Institute Against Human Trafficking.
Were you at the fundraiser at Ottawa Baptist?
I was not.
Okay, Lauren and I attended that one, and we're donors and we contribute to their fund, and again, it's a great organization, but again, it's because Tampa is such a hotbed for that kind of illegal activity that we need to be vigilant at all times.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you again for watching the Yard Sign, the most important and relevant podcast in politics. Jonny Torres, Travis Horn, Anibal David Cabrera. Thank you guys so much for doing the show today.
I'm honored to have been the first show back. I'm sorry that I have this frog in my throat.
Sounds great, man. That adds, kind of drops you a little, drops you about an octave, so it sounds nice and nice and sexy.
Chef. Isaac Hayes.
This got weird fast.
That's right. Don't forget, you can subscribe on YouTube. Please do so. You can also catch the audio version of our podcast over at the Tech Overlords at Google, Apple, Spotify, Audible, Amazon, Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and Samsung podcast platforms.
So we had a few people comment. So Scott Levinson said that most in office give only lip service.
Yep.
Kim Davis, third highest for trafficking in the country due to the large part of our port.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal. It really is a big deal. It's almost impossible to check every single container coming into the port. We have access to Central and South America. It's such a sad fact.
Because it's such a short trip.
It is such a short
from Central and South America.
Yeah. But Jonathan, what is your one last thing?
My one last thing. Hey, you.
Look at that. Oh, you want me to go forward, or I can't tell with the audience?
No, she just wanted to go ahead and
you want me to stop talking? Oh, okay.
Yeah, wrap it up.
I just want to make sure I understand what's going on.
I know it's sushi time.
I just don't understand. Okay. You want me to stop? Wait. Wait. Do you want me to stop?
Yes. It's a wrap.
No, honestly, I don't have.
Jonathan, you don't have anything to say in regards to the maps that were just released by the state of Florida?
Yeah, I did want to touch on that on today's show, but we didn't get to it.
It came out to the governor's.
Governor put out a very, very strong map, and it's definitely going to be challenged.
It's a strong map, but I'm telling you right now,
it is red. Oh boy, is it red.
But I will say this: I think one of the House district 70.
Oh, look at that!
Oh, look at that! That is
on it. So the new district would be District 15. Thank you. Shows you again how important Tampa Bay is, because we're going to be getting.
I wasn't expecting us getting it.
I didn't. I wasn't either. I know a lot of people were kind of speculating
total
that, but
split. That's going to cause a lot.
We're going to be picking up 15, and then 14 kind of.
14
isn't Scott Franklin 14? Isn't
no, he's 15.
Oh, it's 15. Yeah. Okay.
14 is
15 gets moved around.
He might not be
Castro.
Now though. I mean, that's
15 is dangerous.
Look at that. 18.
We might lose 15.
18 is crazy. That's a ridiculous district.
This is not the congressional. Oh.
13. That's but this is a congressional.
That is congressional.
Right. So Bilirakis probably takes 13. 14 goes to Castor. Democrats lose currently 13.
Yes,
which is Pinellas.
They're going to lose 13. This map
that gets absorbed by 13.
This map isn't the most accurate now that I look at it. So I don't. Let's pull off.
This is the one that came yesterday.
No, this is not. This is, but it is not. Because I'm looking at the one that the website gives us. That is the picture that the website gives us.
This is the one that the governor put out.
I know, but I'm actually on the redistricting.map.article.
I know, but that may not be the one that the governor put out. That's what I'm saying.
You are correct. You are possibly correct.
Yeah. So
we'll find the right one and get back with you on that.
No, but I mean, it's interesting to kind of start looking at because, again, I mean, that's a lot of red that was not there before.
So yeah, I truly see that I think the governor if this gets accepted, he takes the legs out of the Annipolina and some of the other races for 13.
Well, but yeah, right, correct.
Yes, and then District 14, which is going to be really difficult now for Republicans because that is very concentrated.
Well, 13 stays pretty much mostly Pinellas.
Yeah, correct. The top gets cut off a little bit. So I think Newport Richey is what they're going to have. Richey and Newport Richey is what's going to get added into 12. 12 is going to stay strong. 16 will stay strong.
And I'll tell you, somebody who we talk about every so often, very controversial, Mr. Anthony Sabatini probably loves this map.
He loves to wear
because 16 is all him.
Yes. Well, he lives in 17 now.
No.
I've been told.
No.
I've been told he no longer lives in Hillsborough County.
He doesn't live in 17.
He's Sabatini's never lived in Hillsborough. He's from Sabatini's from Lake County.
Yeah. Oh, Anthony Sabat. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about someone else. Yes, I do agree. It fits his.
Anthony Sabatini's Lake County.
Yes.
16. They obviously tightened the map around Orlando for that District 9. So that stays blue.
I think he was expecting another district inside the.
I don't think so. I think that's the one.
I think you think that he wanted the way 16 looks now?
Webster, yeah, because Webster, and that may be whether or not he ends up challenging Webster.
Scott, I think 15 looks like it's more in Hillsborough County now. 15 is almost all. So Scott Frank
did more research on this before I came on.
Scott Frank is going to have to move.
No, that's all right. I mean,
Scott Frank is going to have to move. I am almost positive he's a Polk
15
County.
becomes Hillsborough and Pasco.
I can't tell from that map.
Like East Pasco?
Let's get a good map. We'll do it next time.
I know.
Come on, I got a hot date.
So, all right. On that note.
Yes, you do.
All right. Thank you, everybody, again for watching. We'll dig more into that map and others in next week's show. So let's make sure to kind of set some time aside for the redistricting process here in Florida. Again, Jonny Torres. Thanks again to Travis Horn, Bullhorn Communications. Look them up for any of your media training, public relations needs. Anibal, David Cabrera, and yours truly, Jonny Torres. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you back here next Monday night. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share. We will catch you next time. So long, everybody. Bye-bye.